Hello. Hello, Sis Bax.
Hi,
Hi,
hello.
ngiyabona.
Oh, ngiyaphila unjani?
Sikhona, right?
But I'm on my phone. I'm gonna try again on my laptop. I'm on my,
Let me just
even the laptop is
reduce,
gonna work now. Okay, let me close my phone.
let me reduce the volume here. All right. Ungenile?
Now I'm in. Now I'm in. Yes.
Yeah,
now I'm
okay. Welcome. Sis. So good to see you. Otherwise,
Thank
right on this beautiful Sunday. This day in Joburg is beautiful.
Are you in Joburg?
Yes,
Oh, okay. All right, but you are based in Joburg anyway. Okay.
I'm based in Joburg. Yes.
Yeah, Cape Town is also beautiful today.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
weather keeps changing, but it's nice and sunny today.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can see that people have started joining on YouTube. And I also see that on Facebook, it's also showing. So I want to make sure that people are able to connect with us on all the platforms. So thank you so much for joining. Just bear with me for a few seconds.
All right.
You know, in this day and age, everything is online.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Everything is online, and we've got to catch up.
Yeah, because I'm also trying to see on Facebook. It's on your page, ne?
Yes. You know, there is some sort of a software or an app that normally shows up called StreamYard. So it ought to show it on Facebook as well. It showed me recently just now it was gonna go live. Anyway, I think Amandu who are on YouTube are able to hear us and are able to see us. A colleague contacted me earlier on, and I saw that he was on, he was watching.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll take it one step at a time when us is back. This thing is all new, you know.
Let me check if I have any people that are struggling before we start.
Sure. Okay.
On my
okay.
on my WhatsApp.
Okay.
Someone saying please send ID. Let me just see.
Okay.
Did you find it on Facebook?
Not yet. Not yet. Sometimes back on it delay. Corner.
Okay, let me just call us Bonnie so because he says.
Yes. Okay. All right. And if people are battling, we'll give out or we'll send out onto our social media platforms the Zoom login details so that they can, but we were trying to avoid using Zoom for people because of the possible disturbance that happened, because some people do not switch off their devices and there are all sorts of problems. But in case that it's really a problem, we will then give out our details. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We can see if Facebook's gonna work.
If Facebook is going to work, we'll see.
Oh, Sponiso is on YouTube, so YouTube is fine,
Is it?
but I'm not sure about Facebook.
Yeah. I think it will show when I see. That's what I was assured by the IT specialist.
All right.
Because both of them, according to my thing, it is live on Facebook and on my page at least, and it's also
Okay.
it's also live on YouTube. And people that can see this on Facebook, please indicate. We'll keep tracking to see if you are able to ask questions or do whatever you can. But I'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us today, and just to thank you for the time that you've taken to join us on this beautiful Sunday afternoon to talk about a very important subject. So many people have been calling me because at some point I was working in this industry, and people have been asking about, how can people get involved? How can people understand the value chain and the opportunities in the gas value chain? And I've added a paraffin as well, because a lot of people, especially in the rural areas and in the townships, are still using paraffin. And so we have to understand what the opportunities are in that value chain for business, for investment, for even professional growth. There are people who may want to work in these industries. And for that, we thought let's set up this, let's set apart this afternoon so that we can actually deal with these issues with someone who knows a lot about this. Many people want to know, when I suspects, how they can get involved in the gas and paraffin value chains. As I said, as investors, as professional people, as business people. And joining us this afternoon is a person who is extremely passionate about education, about educating and capacitating South Africans and people from elsewhere, because now we are global citizens in the real sense of the word. People about this information, important information, so that they can identify and know how to get involved, what are the challenges. We are going to cover a number of issues, including the regulatory or legislative requirements, standards, and all of that. And as I said earlier on, I added a little bit on paraffin because of the reasons that I've already said. I'm talking here about Usisibaxolile Zwane. She is the founder and director of training and development at Mangweni Business Solutions, the Pty Ltd. The company was formed with the aim of creating an oil and gas training academy in South Africa. And you can imagine the importance of that, because as far as I understand, even organizations that were there in the past from the industry, those organizations are no longer doing this. And it's very important that people step in, people like Sisbaske, under 20 years or more in this industry. I met you when Sisbaxolile for the first time. I think you were the acting vice president of trading, supply and logistics at Petro SA.
Yes.
You were serving on a board of a company I was running at the time on behalf of Petro SA. And even at that point, I felt, man, this lady has a lot that she knows. And I'm glad, it really is my privilege this afternoon to have you join me to break it down for everyone so that people can know. And I'm sure from then you have moved on and done other things. And therefore, it is such a pleasure to have you. Good afternoon, CC. Please say hi to our listeners and viewers.
Good afternoon, Patrick, and good afternoon to our listeners. Honored to be here this afternoon. Thank you very much, Patrick, for inviting me and setting this session up. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. For those of you who are struggling to understand, because previously we've sent out the Zoom details, we're trying a new thing with the advice from our IT people to say that why don't we let people join via Facebook and via YouTube, and to avoid the Zoom direct involvement because of the disturbances that take place there. Sometimes people, you can hear children at the back crying or someone doing something else, you know, and it disturbs a little bit. So we are just trying this out to see if it's gonna work. So, and I'd like to invite you, those who are on social media, on YouTube and Facebook, to please maybe write something just to say you are there. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And the questions that you are going to be asking, I will also try and keep track of those. I'm hoping that we'll be able to see those on Facebook and on YouTube because there are platforms where people can ask questions. We are streamlining this afternoon at Kulati Coaching and Consulting, as well as my Facebook page, which is Patrick Kulati. Now, Mrs. Bucks, let's get on to it. Tell us about, yes.
I was just going to say, Patrick, before we carry on quickly, are you seeing any Facebook activity? Just for 2 minutes, if we can just check on that. Leslie keeps phoning me.
Okay.
Sorry, people on YouTube, just 2 minutes, please.
Okay, all right. I will just check. Oh man. Let me quickly go there.
Yes, because I've got one person saying, thanks, Bakolile, but there is no sound. I'm not sure what that means.
They can't hear a thing on Facebook.
I've got one person saying so.
Okay. All right, Sis Bax, I think what I'm going to suggest that you do, you just forward them the Zoom details so that at least they can get onto Zoom. And I'm also going to share the Zoom details on our Facebook page so that people can have an opportunity. But I beg them to please make sure that when they join, they mute their devices. I'm really not sure what is going on. For those of you who wants to join, they can join us on Zoom. I've also put it on my Facebook page, which is Patrick Kulati, and you can see there how you can join on Zoom, and then we can move on. Is that okay?
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Mrs. Bax.
Yes, Patrick.
You have been a long-standing leader in the industry, but before we delve into that, I'd like to know a bit about you. Tell us a bit about your upbringing, your growing, where you went to school and all of that, and how did you land up in this industry that's so strategic in our country?
All right, no, thank you very much. Born and bred in Durban, at Umlazi Township, and I went to school at Umlazi for my lower primary, higher primary. Please mute Leslie.
Okay, well.
Then for high school, I went to Inanda Seminary, which is at Inanda.
Very popular.
Very popular, yes. And I must say more prominent people come from there, you know, if we're to name them. So it was a privilege for me to have that opportunity to go to that school. So I grew up in the township at Umlazi, and I didn't know about the oil industry until very late in my life. As a child, I was the last born at home, and my parents were very old when they had me, so I was a latlameki. My father was born in 1908. My mom was born in 1918.
Okay.
You know, yes. So I must say I lived a comfortable life in terms of the support. Being the 8th born at home, I had the privilege of choosing anyone of the siblings to support me. And my background is also saying that I have educated parents as much as they were born so early in life. My father had a BSc, my mom had a BA, and I was told that my mom actually studied part-time for her BA to upgrade herself. So I lived in an environment where I was motivated because everyone at home was just busy with studies, even my siblings. So I know those people were my role models as I was growing up. I had that drive already, because of the support that they provided me. So in terms of, I didn't know about the oil industry. I mean, where we lived at Umlazi, you can actually see Sapref. And there was one of the fathers in the neighborhood who worked at Shell, but we never called it Shell at the time. We just called it Ematramin, when you see those tanks. And he would take us as children to the year-end party. And so we looked forward to go Ematramin every year, only to learn later in my life that it was Subpref and what goes on there. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. Yeah, it seems as if people are struggling. I can see here that Pepper and Grenade is struggling to get, and Mazette Max is also struggling to find it. I've just sent you a link, not a link, but an address, a YouTube address. Please go there, or else just go come to this page where we are now on Zoom. I've just put this address, our Zoom address there. So feel free to do that. And if you are struggling, do that. But as you come in, I beg you to please just mute your device so that we can, I apologize because we're trying something new here to make the quality of our product and the production good. Thank you so much, Ms. Bax, for that background. Coming from a background of educated people, even at that age, and that seems to have rubbed on you. And then you even went to university. Where did you go?
Well, when I finished my matric, my mother was worried that she might die and leave me with no certificate. So at the time when I was ready to go to university, it was the time of strikes, doi. So my brother had planned that I would go to Forte with him. He was already at Forte. So my mom begged that, please don't go to Forte now because I don't know when you're going to finish your degree. Because just before people have to write exams, there's a strike. I need you to have something in your hand before I die. So I went not far from home to Mangosuthu Technikon, which is now the University of Technology. And I did a secretarial certificate for 18 months so that I have something. But instead of going to Forte, I then started working. My first employer was the African Bank, which was also at Umlazi. But immediately starting working at African Bank, I registered for evening classes. Ongoye University has a branch at Umlazi, which was called Opikweni.
Okay.
So, yes. So I studied part-time for my university degree, which is a BCom. So I was working during the day. From the African Bank, I moved to Unilever as a secretary. So I was lucky that my bosses allowed me to work my lunch break and finish off early to rush to university. So that's how I obtained my degree.
Okay. Wow, it's a very interesting journey, early journey of your life, and so we're gonna now fast track it to where we are now in terms of your See, this is what I was talking about. Nosi, would you please
Please mute, Nosi.
mute your device? Thank you so much, Sisi. We appreciate that. We know that people are at home with kids and so on, but we are happy that you are joining, and we appreciate your time that you're spending with us, and we understand that it's not your intention. But let me just again, because I see that there are some people on Facebook. Okay, you've got it now, Mazette, Max. Okay, Pepper and Grenade, you also have got it. Thank you so much. I am not sure whether you got it on YouTube or you got it on Facebook. If you can just please let us know where you've got it from, whether you're watching it on YouTube, you can just write it here so that we can understand whether you're watching it on Facebook. We, as I said, trying to do something new here. Now, Sis Bax, you worked in the industry, in the petroleum industry. Just tell us briefly about that journey, because you worked at Unilever, you worked at African Bank, but how did it start that you worked within this gas or petroleum industry? How did your entry there happen, and where, and so how did you grow in that business?
All right. So the first time I came across the oil industry,
Zanele's baby is so, it sounds like he's so bored. Please mute your device. Zanele Akakula.
Yes.
please
Sorry?
mute, Sisi. Please mute.
Okay, what I will do, I'll probably just mute everyone. Okay. Okay, I will mute Zanele. Zamo, please mute your device as well. Will, I'm gonna mute you. Thank you so much, guys. We all understand the difficulties of online and all of these things. We don't blame you, but we're begging with you to make sure that we can all hear well. Go ahead, Sis Bax.
All right. So the first time I came across the oil industry was in 1996 at Shell Chemicals in Durban.
Yes.
They had a subsidiary in Island View, which was called Unico Manufacturing, where we manufactured brake fluids and antifreeze. So
Okay.
it was the first time I was in that environment. So the offices were at the plant, so we knew exactly what was going on. I was there as a finance manager doing cost accounting. So 2 years while I was there, I was then headhunted. At that time, it was called Mosques.
Okay.
They were also looking at transformation at the time. It's now 1996, 1998, and they're looking to fill in positions with for transformation purposes. So I did not know Mosques. I did not know where Mossel Bay was.
Yes.
So it was the first time I was hearing about it from the employment agent. But I was open to looking at it. I traveled to Mossel Bay to have a look, a remote area at the time and a very small town. I mean, now it has grown significantly. So then I joined PetroSA in 1998, and I'm saying it was then just Mosques, because PetroSA was formed in 2001.
Okay.
Through the merger of Mosques, which was the refinery,
yes,
Suco, which was the upstream company that was doing exploration and production of oil in South Africa, and some sections of SFF, the Strategic Fuel Fund. They merged to form PetroSA.
Okay, okay. And so you went and stayed in Mossel Bay, am I right? And then from Mossel Bay, you went to Cape Town.
Yes, so I stayed in Mossel Bay, and when the merger happened, head office was then chosen as Cape Town. So in Mossel Bay, I was in finance, but when the merger happened, they advertised jobs. And there was a job in trading. Okay, when they advertised job, I thought, I'm not applying. I mean, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then someone called me and said, Madam, I hope your CV is in. And I said, for what? I mean, I'm fine, you know. And they say, no, you know what? I've identified a position for you that suits you. And this position was in trading, supply, and logistics. Maybe something I didn't mention.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I never thought I could be a marketer. I never thought I could sit and have a conversation with people. You know, I'm presenting today, but I'm referring to meeting customers and engaging and negotiating, because my mom worked at the bank and was a bookkeeper. And that's what I wanted to do. She worked in a small office with those old calculators with the slip that was going like that, because it was very manual those days. And I thought, I like this job, sitting in my own office by myself, not interacting. This is what I'm gonna do. So I carried that mentality with me until very late in life. Someone says, no, go to that marketing division. There's a position there. It has got some finance in it, but also some marketing stuff. So I was a back office manager at the trading, supply, and logistics. Trading, supply, and logistics is like a marketing arm of Petro SA. The refinery produces, then trading, supply, and logistics sells. We call it TS&L. They go to the market to find customers. So that's why I gained a lot of experience, because I work very closely with trading. Remember, I said that during the measure, the part of Suko was brought into Petro SA. So at the time, Suko was producing crude oil here in South Africa. And that crude oil needed to be placed into the market. So TS&L was then responsible for finding customers to sell that product. Yes.
So it's interesting, because some people may be listening, or that are going to listen to this later. I think it would be interesting for them to understand that sometimes, you know, as part of growth and development, you may find yourself in areas that you never thought you'll be able to find yourselves in. It's amazing that you wanted to be in finance, you trained in finance, but then you moved into marketing. And I think probably one of the reasons why you are here today and you're doing the kind of thing that you're doing is because of that transition. If you had probably stayed in the finance, no one would have probably known about the information that you have. And let's talk about that information that you have about the industry. Can you just give us in detail, and let me say this to our viewers, for those of you who want to know a bit more about this, we'll come back to Mangweni just now, Cecily. For those of you who may want to understand more and learn, Usis Patolile has a business which we're going to talk about, where you can attend her sessions for you to get to know. For now, what we're trying to do is just to sketch the environment so that people can understand a bit more about this. And in fact, in your website, you're saying there's a huge interest in entering the oil and gas industry in South Africa, but the success rate of the new entrants is low. This is due to various reasons, including lack of knowledge and funding. This relatively low success rate has been one of the hindrances in achieving transformation in the oil and gas industry. Please explain to us the different levels of this, and tell us a bit more about the reasons why it is difficult for people to succeed in this field.
Okay. So during my stay at Petro SA, or while I was working at Petro SA, as I said, I worked in the marketing division. So we met people that were wanting to buy from Petro SA as customers, and people that wanted to supply Petro SA. Remember, Petro SA, as one of the oil majors, imports a finished product, which could be diesel, petrol, but also imports their feedstock. So I experienced people coming to Petro SA wanting to supply Petro SA. So now when you're having a meeting and you're engaging with the people, then I realized that at times there's lack of information, there's lack of knowledge. You just pick it up from the lingo.
Yes.
And I'm saying that at that time there used to be trade missions by DTI. So people would travel with DTI to different countries, to Iran, Saudi Arabia, Oman, you know, and then they come back from there and they, claim to have crude oil, you know, and to start to say there is no way from what you are giving me, because people would give me a specification. Here's a specification. Can you tell me if you can use this crude oil? I have contacts. But it's broader than that, and that is actually not how it works. So I felt that it would be prudent for me to take a role of then imparting that knowledge, helping people to understand how it works.
Okay.
And again, when it comes to diesel, people talk about diesel that is 8 rands. Now, pricing is not a fixed price in this industry. It's a formula.
Okay.
So you can't tell me that you have a source of diesel and this diesel is, you must be able to translate that into a formula. Yeah, but those were the things that I was experiencing. Hence, then I felt, let me start this oil and gas school in South Africa so that people can learn. So if we don't get a publication that tells us how many people have wholesale licenses. However, we do have a list in the website of DMRE where they publish approvals of wholesale licenses and retail licenses. So if you sat down and counted how many, you'd realize that it's a small percentage that is active in the market. I mean, you can count the wholesalers that are active in the market, as opposed to people with wholesale licenses. That, you know, so people are then stuck.
Sorry, Cecilia. I'm just going to ask Charlotte, and I think the other person is Peggy, to please mute your devices. Tabiseng as well. I'm going to try and mute them from here. Nosi, your device is on. I'm just going to try again to ask people that join us on Zoom to please make sure that your device is switched off or muted so that we can hear what our guest is saying. So thank you so much for that. Go ahead, Sis Bucks. So what I need you to do in brief terms, because you're talking about the terms of wholesalers and so on, just break it down a little bit for us so that people can understand in simple terms where we start in the upstream, then we come to midstream, downstream, and then you also mentioned the word importation and so on. So let's start there so that people can understand for each of the stream, you say these are the possibilities where people can get involved and what the challenges are. You are muted, Sis Bucks.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, let's start off with upstream, exploration and production of oil and gas.
Yes.
Of course, there are opportunities. However, you have to have deep pockets.
Okay.
I'm referring to being able to go and explore, to go to South African waters, for example, and see where you can drill. There is a company called PASA, Petroleum Agency of South Africa. They sit with the data. If you are interested in exploring, you can approach them and they'll put it out to you and say, these are the areas that you could go to go and explore.
Okay.
So some of the areas may be brand new, but others, work has already been done. If I may make an example, I don't want to be to incriminate myself.
Okay, don't.
But I believe that Petro SA has contributed a lot to that data.
Okay.
They may sit today having run out of gas, but the amount of exploration that they've done is stored somewhere. It is now a reference.
Okay.
Let's take Total, the oil company Total, who is currently exploring in Mossel Bay, not far from Mossel Bay, the Bralpada project. They were here in 2014 and they did some work and went away and came back. They went away because of the challenges they experienced and they came back. That information is all stored. So I'm saying that is an opportunity. Yes, it requires deep pockets.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now, I don't know what Total's plans are when the gas comes out. Is it something that says they'll be willing for people to off-take it and explore? Because remember, why are they exploring? To produce and sell. So again, traders will be listening, interestingly, to say what's going to happen to that product. So on the upstream side, it's that ability to be able to trade the product that comes from upstream. Refineries in South Africa use oil to process. There comes the opportunity to import. You wanna check the mute?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute all and then unmute you. Okay, and then unmute you. Where are you, Sissy? Okay, let me unmute you. Are you? Can you speak now?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you. All right. Okay. So you've described for us what the upstream is about, which you're talking about exploration and where people go out into the sea or wherever they are likely to find, gas or petroleum. And then you were talking about the fact that it's not a cheap enterprise, but there may be opportunities once these products are found for people to trade and so on. But that is the upstream. Now, yes. You wanted to say a bit more, where you're going to talk about the midstream. Let me just read the question here. I saw a question from Ubongi Mbunge. All right. Where seems like Facebook is working because Willow Zondo has got it from Facebook. Ubongi Grosh got the Zoom link from Facebook and she's here now. Apparently YouTube was not working. Bongi Wembunge is good to have you, Bongi, and everyone else. He says, can you touch on the whole value chain of the industry so that we can understand the different aspects and opportunities? Yes, that is exactly what we are doing now. We started with the upstream. We are now moving slowly down the stream. Sis Max, let me not take more of your time.
All right. Yes. Oh, okay. So I was then saying, when we say our refineries are using crude oil to process in their refineries, that oil is produced somewhere.
Yes.
So now there could be an opportunity to be given a deal to import crude oil. However, remember, we go back to saying, when you're going to BP or you're going to Shell to have this conversation, I once accompanied a BE company, and they did ask, what is your experience in this? I mean, that's another debate to say, then how do you gain experience? So in terms of importation, then again, linked to upstream. If we move on, then we're saying the refineries are then producing, which is, okay, upstream is exploration and production of gas. The transportation, the storage is the midstream. We go to downstream now, starting with refining.
So in terms of transformation and storage, what do people use? I mean, do they use trucks? Do they use underground storage facilities? Do they use pipes? So how is that going? So the midstream, I take it that you take the product from wherever it's been found through exploration to somewhere in the refineries to be refined. So
Yeah.
So how do people do that? Do you invest in the trucking business? Do you invest in the part of the piping, the storage? How does that work?
Okay. So the modes of transportation, if it's natural gas, you can transport it by pipeline. Currently, we have a pipeline from Mozambique to Secunda to Richards Bay, which transports natural gas from Mozambique. If you don't have a pipeline, you then use ship vessels. There are vessels that transport natural gas. At that stage, it's no longer natural gas. It's liquid, it's LNG. So when you talk about LNG, it's natural gas that has been liquefied.
Liquefied, yes.
Yes, and that's how you transport it. So again, if I go back to where I used to work, if PetroSA had run out of gas and they needed to import it, they would have imported LNG, and they would have needed an LNG terminal. I think right now we have, if you look at as the Minister of Energy, there is a project for building an LNG terminal in South Africa. So that's gas. Crude oil, again, you can transport it by pipeline. Places like America has got a huge network of pipelines. Otherwise, you transport it by vessel.
Okay.
So in Durban, for example, that's where our crude oil is received for companies, for the oil majors. It's received at the SBM, the single buoy mooring, and it's transported from the vessel to where it's required. Even Natref is a refinery in the Free State. Their crude oil comes through Durban. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's say there's someone now listening to us talking. They're saying, "Man, I'm interested. I know that I may not be able to get engaged in the upstream, but now the bits and pieces that maybe I can explore in the transportation, the piping, and all of that. Are there such opportunities, or are they already taken up by the big guns of this day?"
Well, I saw that from the pipeline, the Romco pipeline, ROMPCO, if people want to Google Romco. There was a time when there was a sale. They sold 25% of that. That also required deep pockets, but I mean, it was there. It was announced that there was going to be a sale. Otherwise, the pipeline in Durban is owned by Transnet. So the pipeline belongs to the government of South Africa.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so where are we now?
Now, I sometimes see trucks written hazmat, and some of the trucks that go between Durban and Johannesburg, or wherever it is, that are carrying gas, and they are carrying petroleum products, liquefied petroleum products. How does that happen?
Excuse me. Okay. Let's say now we're done with upstream.
Yeah.
We are now refining.
Yes.
So there are refineries in South Africa, and they produce finished products.
Okay.
Petrol, diesel, liquefied petroleum gas, and other chemicals. So you could own a refinery. I mean, Astron Energy, which was previously Chevron or Caltex, was advertised for sale, and people had to put in their bids, and it was then bought by Glencore. then they own that business of refining.
Okay.
We know that engine in Durban is down, and they say they're going to convert it into an import terminal. So it's not being sold. So now what you are referring to is the refinery has produced, and they need to put this product into the market.
Yeah.
And this putting product into the market could be done via wholesalers.
Okay.
And people who are logged in here, maybe some of them are already doing that. They would have gone and negotiate. Firstly, you first have to find a customer. Sorry.
Okay.
As a wholesaler, you submit a business plan to get the wholesale license. Who is a wholesaler? A wholesaler is anyone who wants to buy and sell product in bulk. What is bulk? Bulk is 1,500 liters. So if you want to be in that space, you are a wholesaler, and according to legislation, you must apply for a wholesale license with the DMRE.
Okay.
So that is now the kind of people that you see. They are buying in bulk to deliver to their customers.
Okay.
So it's either you, when you are trading, it's either you just have a customer and you have a transporter that you would have employed to go and fetch product for you to transport it to your customer.
Okay.
So there are certain sectors that use bulk product, or you sell to them in bulk. Talk about mining, aviation, agriculture, manufacturing. You know, in Joburg you have Metro Bus. In Cape Town we have Golden Arrow. In Durban they had Durban municipality buses. They go out on tender and they say we're looking for diesel.
Okay.
And the wholesalers are the people that apply in that tender. So unfortunately, there's always a chicken and an egg situation again. If you want to own your own trucks, a tender comes out and they say, we want people to apply who have got 4 trucks. So how do you have 4 trucks without business?
And that's where the problem is for many people, especially small black business people who are trying to break into these industries that have been locked for so many years. I cut you off there.
No, but I think you asked about what are the hindrances.
Yes.
And we touched earlier on in terms of understanding the industry, knowing the jargon and the lingo that is being used.
Yes.
But also now, if you're analyzing the opportunities being put out on the tender side, you also find some hindrances because the tender is asking for 4 trucks. I can't obtain 4 trucks unless I have a contract. Then how do I participate? So it's not an easy space. However, you just have to have perseverance. I would say focus on the supplier development programs that are out there.
Supplier development programs.
Yes, if a company like Astron is advertising for supplier development programs, they are looking for something to improve on those hindrances. They want to say, we have our own fleet as an oil major, but we want to, out of the 100 trucks that we use, we want to only use 70 and take the 30 perhaps and put it in the market and develop so such things.
Okay, and so how do people get to know about that?
Okay, one way, for example, tenders on the government entities, you have to register with National Treasury, their central supplier database. You must be there. So we've skipped to say you have a legal entity. That's because that is what you register.
Okay.
And then you'll be getting invitation. And then you also check on the website. Yes. How do I put my company at BP? How do I put my company at Astron Energy or at Sasol? Registering in their databases. Yes.
Okay, okay. So in other words, there's a bit of work that needs to be done by anyone who is interested in this. In other words, setting up a legal entity, making sure that you understand how to get onto the supply database, and then also, take opportunities like the supply development things. So it's not like people are just going to sit and wait. It's about people trying to get to know a bit more about this. So all we are doing today is just to highlight some of the key issues so that people can understand. Because earlier, in fact, when we were chatting about this, Bax, I talked to you about I sent you a thing about the entry requirements if a person wants to start. And I'm sure some of us here may be wanting to do, petrol station or garages and things like that. Or they may want to explore these other opportunities, like, for example, the warehousing, sorry, not the wholesaling and all of those kinds of things. So did you want to add any other entry points from a regulatory point of view, specifically around gas, because we're talking so much now about gas and paraffin supply value chain? Yeah.
Okay, so the first part of the gas are those people you said you see the trucks.
Yeah.
So they are buying in bulk.
Okay.
They are wholesaling the gas, buying directly from the refinery. There is also another element of gas where you buy already packed gas into cylinders.
Okay.
So you are now an LPG distributor. So you approach companies that are selling those cylinders. For example, BP, the green cylinder, is now owned by Oryx Energy. There is Total Gas. There is Easy Gas. There's Avidia. There are several marketers. So you may be applying to become a distributor of that. So it's already packed, and what you do is to on-sell it. And you may not limit it to the cylinders if you are in that space. You may also add accessories or appliances. So the 2-plate stoves, the heaters, the geysers, So you then also have to talk to the LPGSA.
Okay.
The association, which can tell you more around what you need to comply with. And once you are in that business model where you are selling appliances, it means that you may be getting customers who may be coming and saying, I'm using electricity now and it's very expensive. I want to convert to gas. Please come and install.
Okay.
The installation is a qualification.
Okay.
So gas installers are trained by LPGSA and they get a certificate. Because as households, if we are doing a conversion in our own homes, we must get qualified people. So that is also covering the safety aspect of the gas. Again, when you're looking at paraffin, you may be buying in bulk and breaking it down to smaller quantities. You have to contact the fire department, their safety department, for them to come and inspect the place that you've seen where you want to operate from and recommend the safety that you have to comply with. Because the liability may be too huge for you to take a risk and run a business like that.
And it's very important because people need to be wide awake. People need to understand, because as you are saying, I'm thinking about storage issues. There may be people that may want to store underground, let's say paraffin. They may want to store up above ground. And are you saying that there are regulations that regulate the placement and that kind of thing of storing?
Yes, definitely the fire department will have to give approval for that. Yes.
Okay. And then what about the small bits and pieces where I think, let's say in a shop, and then I think it's in small bottles as mainly 1 liter, 2 liter. How does, especially around paraffin, how does that work?
I just know that the fire department gets involved if you are installing a tank.
Okay.
You know, in your premises.
Okay.
So I don't know the amount that this person is buying. It may be, I don't know, 50 liters. Where maybe the fire department may not be applicable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess for the regulatory processes and safety issues, people might in fact have to approach their municipalities to hear what the issues of storage are. But you need to make sure that if you are involved in gas sales or installation and things like that, as well as paraffin sales and distribution in whatever quantities, you try and understand the regulatory framework behind that. There's a point I wanted to go back to, Sis Maxolile, around the installation of gas facilities. You're right, electricity is just getting through the roof, and it's winter now. Many of us are moving into gas. And I heard a call some time ago from a friend from a friend of a friend who was saying they want to distribute and sell gas in the rural areas. Now, and talking about installation, it's another business opportunity as well. If a person is watching and listening, they can train to become installers of gas. And so, yeah, so can you talk to us briefly about that? If a person wants to work in the rural areas to install this safely, and where you're saying they must go and get more information from the LP Gas Association, is that right?
Yes, I'm saying that the LPG SA is the one that provides the training.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have a list of trainings that they provide. One of them is household installation and industrial installation.
Okay.
So it's the industrial one is a progress from household. You have to have done the household installation before you can become an industrial installer, rather. Yes. And this is about going into households and converting people from using electric geysers or electric stoves to using LPG as your energy at home.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, what an informational session that we've just said. I'm going to come back to you now, Sisi. I just want to check if there are questions. People that may have questions here.
Okay, I will just also talk while you are looking something that I wanted to share to say. I know it's not very easy to collaborate. But for example, the business model that I was mentioning about LPG and appliances, if you approaching a supplier and because of volume, you are then able to negotiate better pricing. So instead of people being in one little corner there and there, actually that is also maybe one of the challenges that the transformation has gone to certain people, because how many refineries do we have in South Africa, and how many people are capable of perhaps importing or something like that? However, if it were possible, at least that's what I was looking at, but I didn't know how it could happen. If people could put themselves together and be forming this one huge company, Yeah. Okay, bottom line, I'm just encouraging collaboration.
Yes, I think it's very important, Sisi, because I mean, we can blame, the lack of transformation from apartheid to carrying on white privilege and all of those things, and those things are real. But what I'm hearing you say is that at some point, people need to come together and take on the big boys and the big guns in the value chain. But for you and me to be able to do that, we need to be informed. which is where you are now coming in, because now I want us to move to your company, because your company plays an important role. When I started working in this industry, in the paraffin safety company, I went to attend a couple of courses at MITI. I don't know whether it's still there.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
But but it's no longer there now, as far as I know. And people like you are coming in to really provide the necessary training. And before we move to your company, Willow has asked the question: where can one go to do household installation training in Cape Town? What I'd like to suggest, maybe before Sisibaxolile angene, I know that I used to work a lot with the LPG Association of South Africa. You can go onto their website, LP Gas Association of South Africa, and then you can see there on their website. I haven't looked at it recently, but they show you, how you can get hold of them. They provide information about all of these kinds of things we're talking about. Sisibaxolile, did you want to add anything in regard to that?
Well, I would like to share their email address, because I am connected with them in terms of them presenting at my course.
Yes.
So I would like to share my email, their email, so that whoever has got inquiries around that can then contact them.
Okay. One of the ways, can you write it on this chat and send it to everyone, so that people can know? Basically, as I said earlier on, Sisibaxolile provides these courses obviously at a cost, and she has done us at a fee, and she has done us a great deal today to come and share this information with us freely. But when people want to understand more deeper and become trained in understanding the industry better, I really would recommend that they consider Sisibaxolile's courses that she does. Now, let's get to that, Sisbax. Sive Okba, tell us about Emangweni Business Solutions. What is it about? What's behind it? Why did you form it, and all of that? What services does it provide?
All right. So I think we've touched on the reasons that I formed it, because of I felt pain when I was trying to engage people, and I could see that they are passionate about what they want. However, there are gaps in terms of the information. And so when I left Petro SA, before I could leave Petro SA, that was my dream, to say I want to start an oil and gas school in South Africa. So I did a lot of homework. I engaged Department of Energy, shared my view, and they liked it. I engaged Transnet. I see my Transnet colleague is logged in here, and explained exactly what my objectives were, and they really liked it. And as you said, again, there was a school, MEETI, MEETI. Yes, Minerals and Energy Education and Training Institution, which was in Randburg.
Yes, I went there. I did a number of courses there. I presented also training other colleagues in the industry. Yes.
Yeah, so that school was sponsored. That's how it survived. I suppose it stopped because maybe sponsorship dried out.
Okay.
So if you remember as well, when you were hosting Ufani from SAPIA, the South African Petroleum Industry Association, I raised the issue of MEETI. And he's guided me on how I could go about along those lines, where you get the whole industry supporting it.
Okay.
So that is where I'm coming from in terms of Emangweni Business Solutions. And also, I have simplified the information so that many more people can understand it. Because when you're sitting in front of an oil major, they throw terminology at you. They're not gonna feel sorry that you don't understand. and they will ask you questions, and they will quickly see that you don't understand what is going on. And I decided, let me do the whole value chain. So I may not have worked in upstream. However, I managed to negotiate with PASA, which is the Petroleum Agency of South Africa, to come and present that portion of upstream. And I find guest speakers who come and present at the course, people that have worked to come and present exactly how it feels like. So theoretically, I can present the whole course, but I think it gets exciting and it gets more rich, you know, and enhanced as I'm guest speakers. I have guest speakers that are just running their own businesses, logistics business. Come and share with my clients to say, how did they get onto this business? And one of them made it that enterprise development was her route. That's how she got to have those trucks I was mentioning. But also the encouragement about persevering and focusing. It is also a pity that we have COVID now, because one of the elements is networking. You know, if there's a seminar at ICC or at Grand West, you pitch up and there you get to meet people, you introduce yourself, you say what you're aspiring to do. You may never know where that would land you. However, because of COVID, those things are not happening. But can I tell you that even sessions like this, you know, when you get to a session and they say you are allowed on the chat section to introduce your company, I got someone I can work with through looking at the chats. You know, because I'm providing the oil and gas training, but these people are providing the business side of training. And I said, what is it that we can do together? I picked up your comments on the chat section.
Yeah. And I'm glad you say that, because sometimes people think it's a waste of time to invest an hour listening to sessions like this. But it's amazing, because when I was hosting Fani, the comments that you were putting in there, you know, it's really amazing. This is why I decided to reach out to you, because you had made important comments there about specific issues around gas that I thought, let's tease at those things a bit more. And people, even as we speak now, they can start writing in about their own questions or their own businesses that they are doing, so that the world can see, you know, where people are and where people are stuck and where people are looking to support. And there's a question here that came from Sanele. Where can one attend Mrs. Zwane's courses? You know, how is the COVID, you know, dealing? Are you having online courses, or are you having person by person request? And then I see here you've got the email. Okay, the email address, Shamilen.
Shamilen, yes. I'm gonna put Tony's as well.
Yes.
And guys, please, when you write to them, please, in fact, okay, let me write Tony's address first.
Yeah.
Tony at LPG.
Yes. Those of you who are on Facebook or on YouTube, we will read it out for you, because what Kolile is doing, she is writing the LPG Association contact details. She's written Shamilen at lpgas at lpgas.co.za, and she's now going to write Tony's one. So Tony, and then the email, the rest of the email is the same. So what I'm trying to say is that these platforms that we are creating, these conversations that we're having, are intended to spark a life change for many of us who are viewing this. We want people to say, I've made a turn in my life when I was exposed to these sessions that are being hosted at Gulati Coaching and Consulting. It's not just about the now, it's about the future that we want to be. I had a big problem, I had a question, but when I was exposed to the information, I found my solution. some of you may find that from now going forward, you're going to do more research on your own. You're going to get in touch of Sis Baxolile and make sure that this is that. So Sis Baxolile, the question was, how can people attend your courses? What are the plans going forward?
Okay, so since May 2020, due to COVID, we've been doing our courses on Microsoft Teams. So they are virtual classes.
Okay.
But they work. I mean, I see many people logged in here who've attended.
Yes.
The guest speakers log in and they present information. It works smoothly. We've received positive feedback from the clients that have attended.
Okay.
So the link for registration is on our website. I mean, I can write the website there.
Yes. And whilst we are still writing, Ntabiseng is asking the question, would Emangweni have an interest in spreading the formation of consortium of interested South Africans to pool resources for investment in this sector? I think she's talking about the stuff that we were talking about earlier on, the need for people to come together. What's your take on that? Is that something that you are involved with in terms of facilitating the formation of consortia of people that may want to be involved with this thing?
Interestingly, I was approached by my colleague who's here asking me a similar question.
Yes.
And I said, I would prefer that maybe we have a session like this one, because it will take a lot of energy to understand each and every person's dream and passion and all that.
Yes.
So I think we will call it up and see if it's going to work. I mean, it's not going to be a quick thing because we have to have like-minded people and also people that are zooming to the same goal.
Okay.
You know, so, but it's a conversation that happened when someone saw the post of today, Patrick.
Yes, yes.
And they called me and they say, who are the people that have attended your courses and what are they busy with? You know, I'd like to address them. So maybe along those lines, we can then, and Tabi saying, do something similar.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've just corrected the info at Emangweni. It's .com, not .cpm. So I was saying then that the link for registration is on the website, and I've put the website there. It's emangweni.com. And if people want to know more before they register, they have that info at Emangweni. And I don't mind if people can send me a WhatsApp on my number to ask for more details around the training, or maybe even expressing what they would like to do. Even the people that want to contact the LPG Association, I don't mind having a conversation with them.
Wow.
You know who the MD of LPG is, LPG SA. She used to work at Petro SA.
Oh, okay. I no longer know. There used to be a guy there, Bumi, first, and then there was another guy. I think it's I forgot his name now. Yeah.
It's Khadi. Khadi was with Fanny at Sapia.
Okay.
Maybe it's another thing that I must mention, that the industry, as much as you can think it's big, it's very small. Now this touches on relationships and how you treat other people and your reputation. To say wherever you go, you need to be careful about what you do and what you say, because the industry is very connected. People rotate around similar companies.
Okay. I do want to raise this issue because it's what's happening in the world. I'm going to read some of the comments. And I want you to, I want you to also make a comment about the future of this industry in the bigger scheme of things. And I think you know about the whole debate about transitioning from fossil fuels, things like gas and petrol and so on, towards sort of your what is called cleaner energy, like wind, water, and so on, because of climate change issues. So what is the sustainability of this industry in the long run? Or can people transition along with the changes that are taking place whilst they are still involved with that? You can share whatever comments you have.
All right. It's important to keep up with the times.
Yes.
Emangweni itself is looking at saying currently the training we are providing is based on fossil fuel, but the world is moving. We know South Africa perhaps is a little bit behind even on the specification for the products that you are using. Europe is far ahead of us. So it's important to keep up with the times. So there are people who may be converting from using diesel to using gas. So be versatile and read up. I mean, companies like DNG Energy, who are in that space, who are already gearing up to bring LNG to the country. So read up about DNG, find out what they are doing so that you are up to date. I'm just making an example because I've engaged them. However, fossil fuels are still going to be here for a long time.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the whole industries that are using diesel. So someone was saying to me, I could be saying in my lifetime, I won't see 100% change. Maybe in the generation after me, we could be getting there.
Okay.
You know, so people may be using dual for a long time before it's fossil fuels is wiped out.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now I want to touch on something on the side, because when you talk about energy, you mentioned slightly, there is also the side of appliances to use that energy. That can also be another opportunities for people to provide and innovate in those appliances, things like stoves, heaters, and all of those kinds of. I remember way back when I was still at the Paraffin Safety Association, there was technology, a Japanese technology, because in 1908 in Japan, people were cooking in the middle of the day, and then they were using a lot of paraffin at the time. And there was a huge earthquake that happened, and there was a huge fire. And they found out that the reason why the majority of people had died at the time was not necessarily because of the earthquake, but because of the stoves, paraffin stoves that were being used. So Japan started to invest in developing innovative paraffin stove appliances, for example, where, and we were working with the South African Bureau of Standards to introduce those stoves here. So what I'm trying to say is that when people hear about these things, they need to think broadly, both on the side of the energy itself, energy source itself, but also on the appliances in which these energy sources are going to be used, because there are business opportunities. You can come up with a product that's safer. In other words, in South Africa, the majority of the fires that take place in the shacks because of paraffin usage, it is because of the faulty stoves, things like that. So what I'm trying to say is that people must also think about those. Any comments on your side, sister?
Yes, I invited another colleague of mine who is doing exactly what you're talking about. I am not sure if he is logged in, but if he's not logged in, I will go back to him and say, you know what, Kemp, the topic of your stoves came up, because he's shown me the stoves and he said, I need a market for these. They are much safer stoves. You know, so there's a conversation then, Patrick, that I'll come back to you about. And because of exactly of what you've raised. So if Kemp is logged in, I would appreciate that he logs in onto Zoom just to introduce the company. If not, then we'll find a way of spreading the word.
Yeah, because I do want to come back to the issue of informal settlement, fire, and the role of energy, that energy usage that are being used there. And we will come back to that conversation in the future, because in winter, there's a lot of these fires that take place. Let me just go back and read what my viewers are saying here.
Okay.
Yes. For those of you who want to get hold of Usis Baxolile, you can go to info@emangweni, which is EMANGWENI business.com.
Yeah.
You can go there. She has also given her number, which is 082 482 2630. You can get in touch. And then Uma Shohonolo Munyeki, thank you for making a comment, says Ntabiseng, please include me in those conversations. She has put her address there as well, email address as well as her number. Please, whenever the conversations are taking place, people that are of the same interest, please go ahead. Also, Pumla, she has an email, perseveranceBNB@gmail.com. All right. You may never know, maybe when you are having one of these sessions, you can use her BNB if that's
okay.
And then Mtabiseng is asking, are you in a position to share the list of upcoming sessions? And lastly, or maybe one before last, I hope you caught that, Sisne.
Yes.
Then you can share with people when the next upcoming classes or sessions are going to be. And then Mahlohonolo Munyeki is saying, I am an alumni of Emangweni Business Solutions. Wow, that's great. I highly recommend the course. Through the course, you will find ways of overcoming the high capital costs through collaborations with other wholesalers in the industry. Thank you so much for that testimony. Sisi, the time is running away from us, and I thought we were going to keep it to an hour, but the interest is just amazing. So can you respond to that question about how your upcoming sessions and how people can participate?
Okay, I was just typing. I'll be having the next classes from the 9th of July.
Yes.
And as I said, please register if you are ready on the link on the website under events. You go to my website and go under events and you register. Feel free to ask questions if you want before you register by sending me a WhatsApp and we can have a conversation about it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I just also want to add that people need to verify whatever information they are hearing in the market. It's just another point that some people are losing money because they are delving into this industry without understanding, and people are getting convinced with stories that have got loopholes. So please be very careful about cheap diesel or anything of that kind. The pricing is published by the Department of Energy. As much as for diesel, it's a guideline, but it's there to guide you.
It's another thing I wanted to touch on briefly in terms of the margins that people can make in the business, given the fact that the pricing is regulated. What are the margins looking like for those people out there who want to actually go and do this thing? Is there money to be made in these businesses when the government regulates the price? In other words, for you to make up a bit of income, you need to high sale volumes to go out. So you want to make a comment on that?
Yes, it is a volume business. That is how it's set up.
Yes.
So you may be earning 20 cents a liter, but if it's millions of liters, then it's worth your while.
Okay.
And as a start, you could be accepting supplying a generator because you are then building a track record. But of course, you must do that at a profitable state. But what I'm saying is don't ignore small volumes. Just know that for you to change your life, you have to find huge volumes because the margins are thin and prices are, the competition is tight. So you can't say, oh, I'll be getting a discount of, rather a margin of 90 cents to 1 rand because it's not available.
And I'm glad you've mentioned that, because people sometimes just one day say, I want to sell paraffin, I want to sell gas, I want to do this, without really doing those calculations around the margins, around marketing, around market share, and how they are going to get their business to be sold by people to people, and how people are going to buy from your business. Because it's not just about providing this, but if, for example, you are selling gas, you've got to go and get that gas from somewhere. You've got to pay for transportation to get that gas to your place. You make sure that it's safe, it's protected from being stolen, and it's safe, and all of those kinds of things. So the point that I think Sis Macaulay is trying to say here is that if you're going to go into this kind of thing, go into it with both your eyes wide open, and make sure that you understand. And organizations like hers are helping for us to understand. Now, so let me just read the last few points here that are coming in, so that Usis Batoli's next training will start on the 9th of July, 2021. Please go and visit her website. I've given you her cell number. You can contact her. And please make sure, sometimes we give people's numbers there and people have all these other agendas. Let it be business, let it be focused on what you want. And iPhone says, thank you for an informative session. Thank you so much for joining. We appreciate that. Bonge Wembunge comes back to say, thanks for that question on margins. Yes, an important question. And then again, Unandi Songa says, this session is so informative. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much, Sisi. Appreciate that. Pumla saying, thanks very much for this session is so informative. I'm looking forward to know more about the industry. This is what we're here for people to be, people's minds to be open. Thanks for the session. I'll contact you, Sisi, for the project on renewable energy. That's exactly our aim. When we leave this place, we want people to network. We want people to get in touch. But please, as you are progressing as a result of the networking that you got here, come back and share with us how things are going. When you're going through struggle, it's all part of the game. Ubongiwe is coming back. Uti Gajeni, you are in the midst of a strong legacy here. You are changing the game with these conversations. Siyabulela. Oh, kubulela mna sisi kakhulu. Nkosikazi yasemanywabeni. Unati's phone. Thank you. I joined late, but I'm glad for the information received. And by the way, those who have joined late or come today, please be aware that we have this recorded. It's going to be on our Facebook page, which is Patrick Gulati, as well as our YouTube channel, which is Gulati Coaching and Consulting. We're going to go there. It's being recorded live there, but I'm also recording it here on Zoom. So, Sis Macaulay, I really want to thank you for this information, this inspiring information that you've shared with us here. I know that we just scratched the surface. We just whet people's appetite. That's the intention. We just want people now to go further and learn for themselves and come to people like you. Maybe you have got last few comments you want to make as we wrap up to inspire and encourage people that have tried, maybe hit a problem, but they want to go back, or whatever you want to share with our viewers as we say goodbye.
All right. I would like to thank everybody that took their time to come and listen to us. It's really appreciative. We're really looking forward to further engagements. And I would say in these difficult times, find something that you believe in. As a believer in God, I pray. I pray to God for all my plans. I pray to God for whatever that I need to do, and I trust in Him. So find something that will help you to keep going. I mean, attending such sessions. There could be other sessions that touch on the spiritual side of things that are free, that are saying, how do you cope in the midst of COVID, for example? You may gain something there. Positive affirmations that you are told about, to say, I can do it. If somebody else can do it, not in a competition way, I can also do it. So I always encourage people like that to say, the quotation, for example, from Martin Luther King that says, keep moving forward. You know, whatever you do on a daily basis, just keep taking the next step.
Oh, thank you so much, Sisi. Siyabulela, siyalebuka, siyabonga. Kakhulu. Yeah, kakhulu, because it's time now for us who are viewing and listening to really take steps forward to change things for ourselves. We can no longer rely on government and other people. There's so much going on. There are opportunities, there are problems, but we're not going to be able to progress if we focus on all the problems and all the blockages. There are people out there like Ubaxolile Zwane and maybe others that you're going to find through connecting with her and others in that sector that may tell you their stories about how best they can do this. This platform basically is a storytelling platform of how people can change their lives, how people have made changes in the past, and how they can share that with everybody else. And I'd like to encourage you to keep supporting us, and by subscribing onto our YouTube channel, Kulati Coaching and Consulting. Be a member there, a subscriber, because we want to build this reservoir of videos of information that are designed to empower people with the idea that there's nothing impossible. Those of us who are believers, with God on your side, with hard work, with effort, with networking, with information, there is no sky, there is no limit to what we can do. And really, this platform is what it is here for. And I want to thank you for being our guest today, Sis Baxolile. And I want to thank our viewers also for joining us. I need to apologize at the beginning for all the challenges with the accessing Facebook and YouTube. We're trying to do this differently because we're trying to avoid the disturbances. But I really appreciate the fact that those people who managed to make it on Zoom, complied with our request of muting. Thank you so much. Please look out for our posters and keep on supporting us. Sis Baxolile, thank you again.
Thank you too. Thank you for inviting me. It was great.
All right. Yeah. We'll pick up again on some elements at a later time.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye. As people are going, I just want to read one, maybe any other. Will, thank you so much for your message where you say that these are indeed transformational sessions. Indeed. Thanks, PK. And Sis Baxolile, thank you. Zanele Makapula, thank you so much also for being our participant today. Nandi, bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks, Bongiswa Grosh. Appreciate your company and your presence here. And whatever issue you would like us to deal with, which is of interest to the development of people, please get in touch with us. We're going to look into all of those things. Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. Unati's phone. Thank you. Please keep us informed at Pumi. Sis Baxolile, I'm going to keep these email addresses so that people, or you can come back and check the chat so that people can be informed. They've given their email addresses so that they can be informed about the sessions that are going to come up.
Are you going to be able to keep it?
Yes, I'm going to, yeah, I'll copy them and send them through to you.
Oh, all right.
And you can also keep checking them on email. Thank you so much. All the best and the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Thank you. I can see Sanele. Thank you very much, Sanele. Mocholopane, thank you so much. We see you. We're going to provide this information to Sis Baxolile. Okay, Mavin Old at Gmail. Okay, Mavis Manjanja, thank you so much as well. We appreciate all your company is Marvin Old. Appreciate that. Okay, then we're gonna say adios to all.